everybody, and welcome to Art and Soul Creations. What I would like to show you today is how to make a rosette. And let me hold this up closer to the camera so you can see this. But this is a rosette. And you probably have noticed a lot of rosettes out on the on a lot of blogs today. Or maybe you've seen some advertisements for some dies that are available and that are coming available that will assist you in making the rosettes. The dies that are coming out or that are out actually are giving you the capability of running your paper through, and that die actually scores the paper so that you don't have to manually do that. But I'm going to show you how to do this today on a manual basis because maybe you don't have a die yet and you want to make a rosette. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. A couple of things that you are going to want to have on hand is you want to have a couple circles. And you'll see what we're going to use those for in a minute. And I actually used a Spellbinder's circle die to get these circles. The next thing you're going to want to utilize is a scoring tool. And I happen to have the Score Pal and I use it all the time. And what we're going to focus on today when we use the Score Pal is we're going to focus on using the 4-inch, the 4 1/4 inch, and the 4 1/2 inch score marks. So there's the 4, there's the 4 1/4, and there's the 4 1/2. And I have the 4 1/4 marked because I use it a lot when I'm making A2 size cards and I want to score in half. Now, another thing to point out to you too is when you choose the paper that you're going to use to make your rosette, I personally like to use a text weight paper. It's a lighter weight paper than cardstock. It scores easy, and actually it's easier to fold and manipulate than your cardstock is. But everybody has their own preference, but I wanted to let you know that's what I'm using tonight. Anyway, when I get started, what I usually do is I will line my paper up in the Score Pal, and I will start scoring at the 4-inch mark and the 4 1/4 and then the 4 1/2. And then what I do is at that last score mark, I move that down and line that up in the 4-inch score mark groove. And I continue on all the way to the end on the page. I flip my paper around and I do the exact same thing. So basically what I've done is I've filled this whole 8 1/2 by 11 sheet of paper with score marks. And I think you can see that on the video. So anyway, it is scored all the way across. And I like to score parallel to the 8 1/2 inch side of the paper. So my score marks are all parallel to the 8 1/2 inch side. The next thing I do is I will take this paper over to my paper trimmer and I will cut one strip at 3/4 of an inch. So you want to cut your strip at 3/4 of an inch. So actually what you're going to get is a strip of paper that looks like this. So it's 3/4 of an inch. And then you want to take your strip of paper and you want to start accordion folding it on those score marks. And you want to continue to accordion fold this strip of paper until it's done. And your paper then is going to look something like that. So let me move the Score Pal out of the way. and show you how easy this is. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to take our end. We're going to attach the ends together. And I use a nice kind of a thicker glue, and I apply glue to that last tab and attach the two ends together. And I kind of sit it to the side until it's dry. So next you're going to have your accordion folded piece of paper that looks like this once it's glued together. Now I'm going to show you how easy this is all going to come together. So what you will want to do is you are going to apply glue to this circle. Next, you want to take your fingers and kind of push them together at the top of the accordion folded piece, and you want to kind of push in, and this should pop out like that. So that's exactly how that's going to work. Okay, so with the glue applied to your circle, put your accordion fold rosette piece over top of that circle and push down. What I try to do is I try to give a little bit of weight to this, especially if I have something else to do. So I've got this little block of wood that I use as my weighted piece, and I kind of walk away from it, and about 5 minutes later it's dry. So let me show you what it looks like. So it's going to look like this, and if this isn't centered perfectly, it's not that big of a deal. So this is going to be the bottom, and this eventually will be the top. The next thing I like to do is I like to do the exact same thing. I get a second circle out, fill this up with glue, and then I attach it to the top and let it dry, so that when it's done, you're going to have a piece that looks like this. So this is the top, this is the bottom, and again, you notice this is off center, so it's not that big of a deal because this is going to be sitting on your card just like that, and nobody's going to see that that's off center. So if you want to stack something on here, you have the ability to either glue it, or you can tape it down, or use a pop dot or a glue dot or whatever, and that will hide your circle. And if you're using something a little bit smaller, you might want to make your circle a little bit smaller. I've even cut the piece that goes on the top and the bottom out by hand and utilized that. And I actually did a square on the top. And look how messy my circle is, but it works. You can't see it. So anyway, I added a little bit of interest to the fold marks, and so you could see those a little bit better. And you can actually see that on the card right there. So anyway, this is how you make a rosette. Very easy, very quick. I like the fact that if you score a whole big piece of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, you can cut what you need at one time, and you don't have to worry about trying to score a skinny little piece of paper each and every time. So when you cut 3/4 of an inch strip, you're actually going to get a rosette that's pretty close to 1.5 inches across. So if you take your paper the next time and cut, say, 1 inch instead of 3/4 of an inch, then your rosette's going to be about 2 inches. So anyway, that's it on how to make a rosette. And go ahead and try it. I think you're going to be amazed at how easy it is. And happy crafting. Thanks for stopping by. See you later.